Christ is risen. We run to the tomb to see for ourselves, and it is true, Christ is risen. We hear a voice call our name, and we know our risen Lord is with us now and always. Christ is risen. Christ is risen indeed. Thanks be to God. And now, let us clear our hearts and minds for God's presence during our time of silent prayer. God of love, we thank you for the resurrection of your Son Jesus. We thank you for this perfect moment of love. Help us all to be reminded of this beautiful act of love, not just today, but every day. May it lift us up. May it bring us new life and life more abundant. We ask your prayers upon all of those who need them. Send your spirit of power to each one who is sick or struggling in any way in our world. In the name of Christ, Amen. We understand that many people are experiencing hardship during the coronavirus quarantine, but some of us are still blessed to have our health and regular income. If you are able to make a donation to church at this time, please mail a check. Here is the address of the First Congregational Church of Plymouth if you need it. Now please enjoy this musical interlude.
Christ the Lord is risen today. Alleluia. Sons of men and angels say, Alleluia. Raise your joys and triumphs high. Alleluia. Sing ye heavens and earth reply. Alleluia. Lives again our glorious King. Alleluia. Where all death is now thy sting. Alleluia. Dying once he all doth save. Alleluia. Where thy victory, O grave. Alleluia. Love's redeeming work is done. Alleluia. Fought the fight, the battle won. Alleluia. Death in vain forbids him rise. Alleluia. Christ hath opened paradise. Alleluia. So we now where Christ has led. Alleluia. Following our exalted head. Alleluia. Made like him we rise. Alleluia. Ours the cross, the grave, the skies. Alleluia.
Our reading this morning comes from the Gospel according to Mark, starting with chapter 16, verse 1. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James and Salome brought spices so that they might go and anoint him. And very early on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb. They had been saying to one another, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance to the tomb?" When they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had already been rolled back. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. But he said to them, "Do not be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has been raised. He is not here. Look, there is the place they laid him. But go, tell his disciples and Peter that he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you." So they went out and fled from the tomb, for terror and amazement had seized them, and they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. This is the end of our reading. May God add a blessing to it today. Fear, confusion, isolation. These are not things we usually associate with Easter. And yet, all of these things are in the text we just heard. I don't associate Easter with those things. I associate Easter with showy spring hats, with spring flowers, kids dressed in their best clothes and hunting for Easter eggs, a visit from the Easter Bunny, a delicious meal that I didn't have to cook because my husband takes on the cooking for the most important holiday meal of the Christian year. Family gathered together for the first time since the snowbirds have returned from the south for the warmer weather back home. So, this Easter is weird. It seems like even the candy is spooked by the pandemic. Churches are meeting for worship and fellowship over the internet. It's a lot. But as much as we have to deal with, the women who find that Jesus has risen have more to deal with. An empty tomb, a messenger from God proclaiming the resurrection, a message that they will see Jesus again in the flesh. What are these women so afraid of? Well, what are we afraid of? Like the women who discovered the empty tomb, we fear the unknown. What I fear about the novel coronavirus is the unknown. How close can I get back to living a normal life without endangering myself and the people I care about? How long will things be abnormal? What do I do to keep myself safe? What will happen to my finances, to the church, to the economy? I keep thinking about our spiritual forebears, the pilgrims, who landed on these shores 400 years ago as of this November. They face the unknown on a daily basis. They have plenty to fear, but their faith is stronger than their fear, and it keeps them going through their long, challenging journey and their first days and years in this new world. That morning in the garden, fear triumphs over faith for the women for a moment, but only for a moment. The Bible tells us that perfect love casts out fear. We are not perfect. Our love is not perfect, but Christ's love for us is perfect. Easter isn't about hats and dresses and Easter eggs and chocolate and family dinners. Well, it is about those things sometimes. Mostly, Easter is about love. A lot of you know one of my favorite songs is "Love is the Answer." The song says, when you feel afraid, love one another. When you've lost your way, love one another. When you're all alone, love one another. When you're far from home, love one another. When you're down and out, love one another. As your hopes run out, love one another. When you need a friend, love one another. And when you're near the end, love one another. We've got to love one another. We love because God first loved us. In the times of fear and uncertainty, let us turn to gratitude to God with resurrection faith, faith that is constantly being reborn, faith that drives out fear, faith powered by love, God's deep and abiding and limitless love for us. Love truly is the answer. God, we have been refreshed and renewed by your word of perfect love. May we take that renewal into our daily lives, and whether we are together or apart, may we know that you are with us always, in all ways. Amen.